Activities such as burning of fossil fuels, deforestation, and agricultural activities impact the environment, which contribute in biophysical environments, biodiversity, ecosystems, and natural resources. The ecosystems in the world continues to exchange energy and nutrients in the food chain, in which those exchanges sustain plant and animal life on the planet, as well as the decomposition of organic matter and the production of biomass every day, things that is very important that the ecosystem provides us for free.
That even though we don't care why some animals are going extinct, take saber-toothed cat for example, we aren't aware that we need those organisms, that even though we didn't interact with them on a daily basis of our lives, we still need those organisms. Why? Because a well-balanced ecosystem purifies environment, giving us clean air to breathe, a healthy water system to support diverse marine life, and arable land for agricultural production. When ecosystems fail, our own health is also at risk.
In order to release the energy in food, organisms break down the carbon compounds, since all the organic matter is made of carbon. Biogeochemical cycles are a repeated set of events, involving living organisms, chemicals, and the earth. Cycling of substance in which it moves through biotic and abiotic compartments of earth. That is why it is evident that biogeochemical cycles indeed affect the daily lives of the living things in many ways.
Carbon cycle. A prime example of a biochemical cycle is the carbon cycle, in which it is a type of cycle that exchanges carbon among the sphere, meaning the circulation of the carbon in the atmosphere from the biosphere to the hydrosphere to the lithosphere and lastly to the atmosphere. In the atmosphere, the carbon enters through photosynthesis to synthesize food particles. Due to that, when animals or other living organisms eat the plants, the carbon enters their bodies, and when those organisms die, the carbon enters the soil.
Carbon can be found in the bodies of water. The carbon is absorbed by the air, and the organisms in the water, like the plankton, can use it for their photosynthesis, in which they get the nutrition that they need. Furthermore, carbons are also present in rocks. The rivers carry calcium ions, and having contact with dissolved carbonates in it produces a reaction. It results to chemical weathering of rocks in the ocean. The product calcium carbonate will be deposited onto the ocean floor and will then become a limestone. So how can carbon return to atmosphere? Carbon moves from the atmosphere to plants through the process of photosynthesis, in which plants can produce their food. Carbon moves from plants to animals. Through food chains, the carbon that is in plants moves to the animals that eat them. Animals that eat other animals gets the carbon from their food too. After that, carbon moves to soils. When plants and animals die, their bodies, the wood and leaves decays, bringing the carbon into the ground. Some of it are buried and will later become fossil fuels. Carbon moves from living things to the atmosphere through respiration. Each time you exhale, you are releasing carbon dioxide gas into the atmosphere. Thus, carbon moves from fossil fuels to the atmosphere when fuels are burned. When humans burn fossil fuels to power factories, power plants, cars, and trucks, most of the carbon quickly enters the atmosphere as carbon dioxide gas. Some of the remaining dissolves in seawater. And lastly, carbon moves from the atmosphere to the oceans. The oceans and the other bodies of water absorb some carbon from the atmosphere. Hence, the carbon is dissolved into the water. After all of this, the process will just be a cycle.
The carbon cycle involves the movement of carbon between the atmosphere, biosphere, geosphere, and oceans. We humans can hardly recognize that we're causing a massive impact on the carbon cycle, wherein we create carbon emissions that may increase or decrease the level of carbon dioxide in our atmosphere. We keep adding greenhouse gases that causes our Earth to warm up. Burning fossil fuels is one of the reasons behind the constant release of carbon dioxide in our atmosphere. When fossil fuels are burnt, carbon is released in our atmosphere at a faster rate than it's removed. As a result, the concentration of carbon dioxide increases, that also traps the heat in our planet. Another one is deforestation. It is an act of removing the trees from certain places permanently by humans that causes the growth of carbon dioxide since the trees will no longer be able to absorb it. These are just some anthropogenic effects on the carbon cycle that we commonly do, and this effect continuously grow over the years as we release more greenhouse gas that can be harmful for our ecosystem.
Yung carbon cycle is nakaka-apekto sa ecosystem because of too much carbon in the atmosphere. Pwede din to maging result ng pag-warm ng planet and maka-apekto sa lives ng animals because ina-help nito mag-grow yung plants. Therefore, animals have enough food source. However, it could also be the reason kung bakit wala masyadong plants because of the heat of the sun. In terms of water naman, the excess carbon in the ocean makes the water more acidic.
We, humans, are capable of causing plant and animal extinction, reducing biodiversity, competing with other native organisms. We have had by far the most transformative and negative impact on this planet. From release of smoke, burning of fuels, deforestation, in that regard, aren't we the real invaders?